All right, let's talk about something that is just incredibly tough for any caregiver. It's that moment when your loved one with dementia says, I want to go home. Gosh, it can just leave you feeling completely helpless, totally heartbroken. So we're going to break down what's really going on here and find some kind and honestly more effective ways to handle it.
You know, the article we're looking at today just nails it with this quote. The saddest 5 words you'll ever hear are, I want to go home. I mean, wow. If you've ever heard that, you know exactly how heavy that feels. It puts you in this impossible spot, right?
And you know what makes it so incredibly frustrating? It's when they say it while they're sitting in their own living room, a home they might have lived in for 50 years. It just doesn't make any sense. It feels so confusing, and honestly, it's just painful for everybody.
So this really forces us to stop and ask, what are they actually asking for? I mean, when they say, I want to go home, are they talking about the building, the address on the mailbox? Well, pretty much every dementia care expert will tell you the same thing. Nope. The literal words are almost never the real message.
Okay, so let's really get into this because this is the key. This is what's going to transform these tough moments for you. We have to completely redefine what home means. Not what it means to us, but what it means to them in that moment of panic.
See, for a person with dementia, home isn't really a place with a roof and 4 walls anymore. It's a feeling. It's an emotional state. They're searching for that feeling of being safe, of being secure and comfortable, like a warm blanket in a world that suddenly feels really confusing and scary.
And this right here, this is the huge disconnect. We hear the words and think, oh, they're asking for a physical house. But what they're saying with their feelings is, I need comfort, I need to feel secure. And that right there is why our logical, but you are home response just falls flat every single time.
So from now on, when you hear those words, I want you to put on your detective hat. Think of I want to go home as a clue. It's a signal for something else going on under the surface. Are they feeling anxious? Are they scared? Or, hey, maybe it's something totally physical. Maybe they're in pain, or hungry, or they just need to use the bathroom. It's not a demand, it's a clue.
All right, so this brings us to the biggest, most common mistake pretty much all of us make. I know I've been guilty of it. It's what I like to call the logic trap. It's that gut instinct we have to try and correct them.
I mean, we've all been there, right? Or at least been tempted. Our first response is a fact. But Mom, you are home. Look, this is your chair. It feels like the right thing to say, the helpful thing. But when you're dealing with a brain disease, it's actually the worst thing you can do.
There's this fantastic quote from a dementia care pro in the source article that just says it all. The golden rule is, get into their world, do not try to bring them back to reality. Seriously, that's it. That is the golden rule. You have to go to where they are, not try to pull them back to where you are.
And here's why logic is such a terrible tool here. It doesn't calm them down at all. In fact, it usually ramps up the agitation because they just feel like you're not listening. Their brain literally can't process the fact that they're already home. So to them, you just sound like an obstacle. You become the person who's blocking them from getting to that safe place they're so desperate for.
So, okay, if logic is out, what do we do instead? What can we use? Well, the great thing is the source material gives us this really practical 3-step toolkit of kind, calming, and super effective responses. And the approach is actually pretty simple. First, you reassure and offer comfort, maybe a hand on the shoulder, a calm voice. Second, and this is crucial, you just avoid reasoning. Don't even go there. And third, this is the real game changer, you validate, then you redirect, and then you distract.
So let's zoom in on that third step, because honestly, it's the most powerful tool in the box. Validate, redirect, and distract. It's a skill you can use for so many of these tough situations. The whole idea is to first agree with their feeling, and then just gently change the subject.
So, what does validating actually sound like in the moment? Well, it sounds like you're on their team. You're agreeing. So you might say something like, okay, we'll go soon. See how that just immediately brings the tension down? You're not fighting them. Or you could say, your home sounds so lovely. Can you tell me about it? You're honoring their feeling, but you're cleverly redirecting their brain from, I need to leave now, to, let me remember something nice.
But let's be real, it's not always a one-and-done kind of thing. So what do you do when you've tried all that? You've validated, you've tried to distract, and they are just not letting it go. They are insistent.
Yeah, this is the tough one, right? It's a real part of caregiving. The first try doesn't always stick. So what's plan B when they're really persistent?
Okay, so the advice here is to actually lean into their reality even more. You can say, all right, let's go, and then take them for a quick drive around the block. A lot of times, just the motion of the car and a change of scene is enough. Or you don't even have to leave. You can just start the process of leaving. Okay, let's find your sweater. Grabbing a purse or a jacket can feel like you're making progress, and it buys you time to distract them with something else.
And hey, this stuff really works. There was a great story from another caregiver who said, I take her out for a drive. When we get home, she instantly recognizes her house and gets in as normal. It's amazing. Sometimes that little 5-minute car ride is all it takes to press the reset button and bring back that sense of calm. Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, let's just circle back to the single most important idea here. It's all about a massive shift in your mindset. It's about changing your goal for these conversations entirely.
And this right here, this is really the whole thing in a nutshell. The old goal, the one that doesn't work, was correction. We were trying to prove a fact. You are already home. The new goal, the one that actually helps, is connection. Your job isn't to be right, your job is to provide the feeling of home. As soon as you make that switch in your head, everything else follows. You stop being a fact checker and you become a comfort provider.
And if you ever struggle with that, if you find yourself getting frustrated, just try to remember this beautiful, heartbreaking image from another caregiver. He described it like this. She is scared and lost. Imagine being in the middle of a field. It is dark and there's a tiny light very far off, and you just can't ever reach it. I mean, that's the kind of fear and confusion we're trying to soothe.
So I'm going to leave you with this final question to think about. What if we started looking at every difficult behavior, not as a problem or as them being difficult, but just as a call for comfort? What if that's all it is? Think about how much that one little shift could change everything. Thanks so much for joining me.